I'm a sketch artist, but just like any other artist, I have a particular taste. I get excited with every cruel and atrocious scene in front of me. As a hobby, I collect different crime scenes photos, thanks to my friend Mark, who is an investigator. Then I give them the last touches to turn them into perfect art, and to make it as realistic and as vicious as possible. After finishing it, I imagine myself in that very moment. An inflammation fills my whole body. I can smell the blood that spilled from the victims, or how the predator felt when he was making his last moves. I don't know when I started to show interest in such things, but I guess it all started from that certain day. It was the day of my high school graduation. It was quite fun, although I don't remember which part of it. The graduation party was filled with joy and excitement through everyone's face as they were discussing their thoughts on which colleges they were going to attend. I had already decided to go to an art school to become a sketch artist because my father used to be one in his old days, but due to certain reasons he decided to quit. I was also intrigued with the desire to become one of those famous ones and wanted to taste that fascinating feeling where I boast about my sketches to everyone. After the graduation party, I had to stay at home because I was exhausted as hell and wanted to rest for a bit. I used to live with my parents back in those days, but they were often outside of the city, and I was pissed at them for not attending my graduation party. Upon arrival to my house, I checked our mailbox expecting to find my college acceptance letter, and I don't know what was taking them so long. There were around 6 letters inside the mailbox, two blue ones, three cyan ones, and a black one. I searched through them to look for the ones that had my name on it. I finally found one. I decided it was better for me to go and take a look at it inside. I went in, and after changing my clothes, I sat on the couch and stared at it for a while. The letter was packed inside a black envelope and didn't have the sender's name on it. I figured that it might not be what I had in mind, but still opened it up. There was something very unusual written. It said, "Go pick a parcel in your room." I paused, figuring out who might that be that entered our apartment without our knowledge and left something behind. I rushed over to my room to see whether it was true or not. There it was, the parcel placed right on top of my bed. It was around a portrait size and was also covered with a shiny black packaging. How come I hadn't noticed it before coming to my room? Or maybe I was submerged in thinking what could be inside that letter. So without any further ado, I tore the packaging and found a single paper and likewise another simple note. The paper didn't seem fancy at all. It had a rough texture as it seemed a decade or two old. The note said, "Draw one thing that you truly desire." I paused again, pondering about where it came from. After considering a little, I decided to refrain from using it until I found the one who sent that. I then took the paper and put it at the heart of a red colored book. After looking here and there, I went to ask the security guard if he had seen anybody unfamiliar today. He then rolled his eyes toward the sides and told me that someone did came by, but he only saw him leaving, and when he asked, "Mister, may I know who you are?" Unfortunately, he had already taken off. I stated to myself, maybe it wasn't anything that serious. Nothing was stolen, and that letter and paper didn't seem harmful either, so I should probably let the matter off the hook this time. Days passed by until my acceptance letter finally came. I was amused and wanted to celebrate. I then called my friends over, but unfortunately I couldn't reach my parents, because once in a while they would contact me themselves without mentioning where they were or how they were. And I never bothered to ask either. When my friends came by, we sat down and spent the whole day playing, drinking, enjoying ourselves. One of my friends was pretty wasted that night, so Mark took him home. I was pretty wasted too. I crept back to my room, threw myself right on the bed, and blacked out. That night, I had a pretty strange dream. I was standing in a hall, and I saw someone coming towards me. He had an average height, but a little taller than me. The one thing I didn't get was that I had a big smile on my face and felt quite happy. Maybe one of the reasons was I was thinking about my grandpa. I couldn't even see his face clearly, but I stood there, waiting as he grew closer and closer. I reached out my hand towards him as he grabbed it. I saw a hand with fingers as long as my neck. My expression changed when I saw its face. Maybe it wasn't a human face at all. It had sharp teeth and skeletal nose with dark eyes. At that time, I wasn't scared at all. I was not sure what that feeling was, but I kept having a warmth coming from it as I felt something around my neck itching and saw it sucking my flesh and me struggling. The next morning, when I woke up, I saw scratch marks around my neck. I assumed perhaps it was stuffy last night and I might have scratched myself during sleep, so it could be due to that. I was dizzy because of that whole drinking last night, so I went to the kitchen to prepare something. The dizziness faded a little after I had a hangover soup. I went back to my room to head out. As I was about to leave, I saw something on my desk. It was the same paper which I received through that black envelope, and it was just not that. There was something roughly drawn on it, but it didn't resemble anything of which I knew of. I looked at it closely and found my signature right on the bottom left of it. I didn't know I drew something like that, but I didn't make a big deal out of it and headed out. Nonetheless, I was supposed to meet my friends at a nearby cafe. I went there, greeted them, and came home late at night. I was walking towards my home when I saw someone at the end of the street, coming this way. I paused and looked at it smirking. I wasn't sure why I was doing that, so I just stood there watching it until my phone started ringing. I picked it up. It was Mark, and he said I had left my wallet back at his house, so he told me to come pick it up the next day. Later, when I ended the call, I saw nothing but an empty street with no one around. These events continued on around 2 months. In my school halls, on my part-time jobs, I used to see it everywhere, but not once saw its face, and suddenly I stopped seeing it ever again. It has almost been 7 years after that, and many things had changed. My mom and dad passed away 3 years ago due to a car accident when they were on their way back home, and I moved to Moscow for my line of work with nobody left for me to rely on but myself. I spent my lonely days working on my sketches, which kept me occupied, and spent my free time drinking and smoking. One night, after completing my last sketch for the day, around 1 o'clock, I went to have smoke outside my apartment. As it had a good view through there, you could smell the scent of fresh fruit coming and sense the cool breeze touching your face. When I came out, I sensed a warm feeling surrounding me. I had felt nothing like this before. I looked around, then my eyes caught a glance of something from afar. As I zoomed a little and saw him again standing right at the end of the hall. My feet froze again as he grew closer and closer. I also happily reached my hands to him and whispered, "Thank you for coming back."